Okay, so let's first go with the idea of let's just see if we can figure out a way to get any point on the curve. So in this situation, again, we go to grasshopper3d.com and we type "get a point on a curve." It's fairly straightforward. Let's see what it yields. Points in a curve, points on a curve. Let's go with this one. And in this one, I can already tell, because I know Grasshopper fairly well, that it is this component. It's called point on curve component. And in this case, if you just read this article through, you would probably understand that there's multiple ways to get this in Grasshopper. Evaluate curves. Another one. Again, it's all about, did you know how to find the answer, which is inevitably out there as long as you know how to search for it. In this case, I'll tell you, my go-to thing would be point on curve. Because we talked about it, we want to experiment a bit here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just put back on all our input geometry just so you can kind of see all this. And I like this component for this job because we said we're not so picky, you and I, on what we do here, right? We kind of already know that we want 2 points. They can be anywhere, so long as if we drew a line between them, the center point of that, which, by the way, we could use this for, yeah? Point on curve. Again. We point on curve. So we know that effectively that would be the midpoint, right? At halfway through, that would be the midpoint. So let's just say, for instance, we want to draw a line. Let's say we do our normal thing where we say line. A lot of people I've seen, lots and lots of people in my career I've seen go straight for this. And what does that do? Again, it's the hexagonal black emoji. It contains a line. Do we have a line yet? No. What does the computer see at this point? It sees 2 points. Now, we could get cheeky and say, well, a line is 2 points, throw that in there. And he doesn't do anything. Why? Data conversion failed from point to line. He's telling you exactly what I've told you, just in a different way. I don't do anything other than contain lines. So you cannot give me points. I don't construct points. I don't do anything other than contain lines. So if we want to create a line, we hover over the next one maybe, and it says create a line between 2 points. And lo and behold, it shows something that takes in start point A and end point B. We're starting to get a bit faster here because now we kind of understand the basics, and now we get to do the fancy woo-ah type of thing, and we can get out the point on the midpoint, and we can just kind of experiment. We don't even need to see the line right now. We can kind of see that, you know, we're getting closer to what we want to do. And even that point right there, just experimentally, could be good enough for what we want to do. So we could just say right now, we've done it. This whole entire part here, again, you never would have thought of this if you were just a normal engineer, but you're a computational engineer right now, and you're going to get very good at taking the information you have, creating some sacrificial information, and using that to do the ultimate goal, which was taking us back to the very, very first piece of paper about a rotation. We haven't talked about rotation for many, many minutes now, because it's all been about just trying to massage the data to be the way we need it to be. So if I put this in here now, my XY plane is now here, and boom, I now have rotated the mouth. I've, for the first time, gotten a glimpse of the smiley face. Now the rules stipulate again that we got to be clean here. So before we move on any further, let's turn off the preview, middle mouse wheel, turn this off. Now we can't see it anymore. But if we put this over here and we turn on red mode, there's our smiling face. We can hide the original one. We've officially gotten to the end of the first part of our script. So we could sit here right now, middle mouse wheel it up, right? And clean up our script a bit more, just to be clear. And that would be a valid first stab at this idea here. We had also talked about different sub-algorithms here, yeah? So let's go ahead and just show you how you could do this a bit differently. I'll go back to green mode. Green mode's great for just experimenting. And let's just say we got the endpoints of the curve. Again, endpoints, I type it in. It gets me the endpoints. I can see them there. And again, we had said we now know how to get the midpoint by doing something like this. And we said maybe we wanted to create a triangle. Let's see if there's a triangle component. Triangle, mesh triangle, I don't see it. What other words could we use to describe a line, basically, that if I sketched it over here would be A, B, C, D? If you're familiar at all with CAD software, that's called a polyline. Right? And what does it ask for? The vertices as a list, and is it closed or not? So the closed, we'll start with that. We do want it to be closed, yeah? So if I right-click this and I say set Boolean, Boolean's a true or false, I'm going to say true because I want him to close it. And then this is our first foray into multiple inputs into one input. This guy takes in the vertices. So the vertices we would expect, at least the first one, would be the start point of the mouth curve, yes? The next one would be, let's say, the end point. And what I'm doing right now is I'm saying shift, and you can see right now that the little green emojis come up, so I say shift. And now I have a line, and if I do one more shift drag over, so I'm pressing shift now, moving over the wire, I get that one, yeah? And again, we had said before, the area component gets you the centroid, not the centroid component. And lo and behold, once again, if I just shift select a couple things on the canvas, I can see here a few different objects that I have. In one case, I created this point. In this case, I created this point. So if I look at this face versus this face, does it really matter? Not particularly. One, you could argue, is a bit more well-centered on the face. Both would suffice. The only problem right now is if I turn on red mode, I have all this sacrificial geometry, which I don't want. And I can hide that as such. So the key here is we're starting to move a bit faster now because we're a bit used to the controls. You're learning a few different types of components as we go through. But the most important thing is that you are understanding how to go from this screen and back to the drawing board when you run into problems and how to look for solutions on your own. So that is the first module and a methodology for how to complete it. You need not follow this methodology to the T because obviously this is not necessarily the only way. We could come up with 5 different ways for just this part of it right here. But in general, the first chapter is all about the appreciation of data and the mechanics of your tool of choice, your visual software, visual programming software of choice.